Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the mechanics of wealth building, but in a way that's actually, practical. Have you ever checked your bank account and instead of wanting to immediately throw your phone across the room in horror, you just smiled? Well, today we're diving into exactly why everything changes for your finances once you hit one specific, surprisingly accessible number. We're talking about the exact threshold where the rules of the money game literally flip entirely in your favor.
So when you think about really getting ahead financially, what number pops into your head? For decades, financial gurus have been hammering it into us that $1 million, or maybe landing some shiny six-figure salary, is the ultimate target you absolutely have to hit just to feel wealthy. They paint this picture of a massive, super intimidating mountain that you've got to climb over your entire lifetime. Honestly, it makes wealth feel like this exclusive club reserved for trust fund kids or people who just grind away endlessly 24/7.
But what if I told you that the true tipping point, the moment where the rules of the game completely change, is actually way smaller and totally within your reach? Like, what if there's this invisible barrier, and the second you cross it, you stop pushing uphill, and gravity finally just starts working for you? Okay, let's just get right into it. The real milestone that separates pure survival mode from significant wealth building is just $20,000. Yep, it's not $1 million, it's not some secret hedge fund number, it is exactly 20 grand. And the crazy part, most people have absolutely no clue this threshold even exists. Hitting this exact amount completely and utterly transforms your relationship with money, your career, and honestly, your entire future. Let's break down exactly why this happens.
So, part 1, escaping survival mode.
Look, when you have zero savings, your brain is operating in pure survival mode. Every single financial decision you make is being filtered through fear and scarcity. You're basically forced to take terrible jobs or say yes to things out of sheer necessity because, well, you just can't afford to be picky. As the source material beautifully points out, trying to think about wealth building when you're living paycheck to paycheck is literally like trying to plan a cute beach vacation while your house is actively on fire. Your mental bandwidth is totally consumed by immediate threats. And Vanguard data actually shows us the sheer power of this mental shift. Just having $2,000 in emergency savings boosts your financial well-being by 21%. That little buffer creates a massive psychological shift. But check this out. When you push that emergency fund to cover 3 to 6 months of living expenses, which for most people lands right around that $20,000 mark, you get an additional 13% boost in well-being. This is where you finally create that precious breathing room your brain desperately needs to stop focusing on just surviving and start focusing on actually building wealth.
Which brings us to the second major point, the math of momentum.
Just imagine you're saving $1,000 a month and earning an 8% return. Getting your first $20,000 takes about 19 agonizing months of intense discipline and sacrifice. But your second $20K, that only takes 17 months. Why? Well, because your first 20 grand is now working right alongside your monthly contributions. You literally just shaped 2 whole months off the timeline with the exact same effort. And by the time you hit 400,000 invested, your money is generating the next 20,000 automatically in just 5 short months, without you lifting a single finger. It's wild.
Think of it like this, really accurate analogy from the source. Getting to your first $20,000 is the sweaty, straining, brutal uphill push against gravity. You're doing all the heavy lifting. But the moment you crest that hill, gravity starts working beautifully in your favor, and your money starts doing an increasing share of the heavy lifting for you. So the really crucial takeaway here is that reaching this specific milestone proves you actually have the discipline to control your money. It fundamentally rewires your brain and builds the single most important financial habit you'll ever develop. To save 20 grand from scratch, you had to track your dollars, you had to consistently delay gratification, and you had to say no to all those shining distractions. This isn't just a basic financial skill, guys. It's a massive identity shift. You've proven that you control your money rather than letting it control you.
And because of that identity shift, you finally stop obsessing over super stressful micro decisions. We've all been there, right? When you're broke, you agonize over buying a $3 coffee or debating over generic cereal because literally every dollar feels precious. But hitting that 20K mark frees up your mental bandwidth. You realize the coffee isn't going to make or break you. Instead, you focus all that energy on strategic macro decisions, like optimizing your housing costs, maximizing your income, or setting up your investments. And those are the choices that can swing your net worth by tens of thousands of dollars.
All right, section 3, the career superpower. So when you live paycheck to paycheck, you are essentially trapped in a really weak negotiating position. Your boss could be completely terrible, but you can't leave because, you need to survive. But having $20,000 magically gives you what's known as walking away money. It means you could literally quit tomorrow and survive for months while you find a much better environment. You stop negotiating from a position of total desperation and you start negotiating from a position of incredible strength. Honestly, just knowing that cozy little safety net is sitting there makes you so much more confident and assertive at work. You can finally ask for that raise you deserve because the absolute worst they can say is no, and you know you'll be fine either way. You can push back on unreasonable demands. And the wild thing is, this creates a massive positive feedback loop. When you show up with this kind of quiet confidence, people absolutely notice. It very often leads to better assignments, more respect, and more money, without you ever even needing to touch your savings. It's a literal career superpower. Now for Section 4, the wealth-destroying trap. I see this heartbreak happen constantly in the data. People hit that $20,000 milestone. They feel that amazing psychological shift of financial relief. And then they immediately decide, hey, I deserve a reward. So what do? They blow their hard-earned foundation on a super expensive vacation, or use it as a down payment on a house they can't actually afford, or they buy some flashy item to show off.
And the most common culprit for this? A new car. A brand new car might cost around 30 grand up front. But here's the truly devastating part. The absolute second you drive it off the lot, it immediately loses 20% of its value. You aren't just spending money at that point. You are actively destroying your newly built wealth. Between the huge monthly payments, the insurance, and gas, people are dropping hundreds of dollars a month and then honestly wondering why they can't afford to build wealth.
But the real shocker here is the opportunity cost. When you have your $20K foundation, you really have to start looking at purchases differently. That $30,000 car isn't just costing you 30 grand. If you had put that exact same money into an investment account over 20 years, it could have grown to over $200,000. Let that sink in. That shiny new car is literally costing you your future freedom.
So, you really have a clear choice before you. Driving a reliable older car, like, say, a used Honda, isn't some massive sacrifice. It is a strategic, joy-preserving choice that essentially funds your future freedom. The person driving that flashy new car is secretly stressing out over their monthly payments, completely stuck in survival mode. Meanwhile, the person in the older, paid-off car is sleeping completely peacefully at night and quietly building true generational wealth.
Ultimately, that $20,000 isn't about becoming a millionaire overnight. It's about giving yourself the absolute superpower of having options. It is the difference between constantly reacting to emergencies and actually intentionally designing your future. So, I'll leave you with this. What small micro decision are you going to rethink today to start pushing your financial boulder up the hill toward absolute freedom? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.